I like to tell folks that I was born in a smallish town. It's a rural area of California. And I want to say I was probably like as young as like 5, 6 when I started to really realize like, I'm not the same like everyone else. When you're really young, you don't think about like, am I gay, And it was very much a thing where I didn't really have anyone to look up to. Like I didn't really know any out gay people growing up at all. So you just start to learn to realize like, oh, you feel very isolated and alone in a place that's full of your family and friends. When I was really young, I was really involved in church. I was baptized in the Catholic faith, and then I did my first Holy Communion. But then at a certain point, I said I wanted to stop going, because I knew I was gay, and I just couldn't, I couldn't live in a keep going to a place where I just felt so much shame, like geared towards me. I was very much the homebody. I was in my room all the time. I'd play video games, watch TV. Later on in life, after college, I was going through a phase where I wasn't involved in any religious institution. And then I was finding myself isolated again. And so my mom, in what she would define as her wisdom, told me I should start going to church. I need to find a church to go to. And I processed it and thought about, okay, if I was going to go to church, I want to go to church that I want to go to. And then I remembered how when I was at college, there was this church, First UU San Diego, had a campus ministry program. But I remember them because I'd always table at our, LGBT and queer events. So it just seemed like a place like, hey, if they're very welcoming, community for queer folks, like, why wouldn't I want to check that out at least?
When he first came to First UU in San Diego, and we met at coffee hour, and he was at the young adult table, and he always made me feel like I belonged there too, even though I didn't.
And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna go to church. If I'm gonna go to church, I'm gonna really give them a chance. So, 3 months came up, 6 months came up, a year, 4 years, 7 years, and then now I'm, 4 years into seminary. So
we needed Isaac, that he really works to practice the 8 principles of Unitarian Universalists. His kindness permeates how he interacts with people. And I think kindness is love in action.
In his ministry, I think he's going to be really good because he's just able to have a conversation with you, whether he's giving a speech to a large crowd or whether he's like just talking to you personally.
Really appreciated the way that he relates to me in conversation and the thoughtfulness that he puts into those conversations.
So I found Starr King because, I was looking at institutions and different programs, and there's a lot of seminary schools one can go to. When I reached out to some of them, I didn't hear back from some of them right away. I heard back from Starr King immediately. And as I learned more about the program, it just really spoke to me. It's like, wow, this is a really unique and challenging program that I think I could get behind. Starr King has helped me learn to be willing to explore new areas or tap into areas that I wasn't really, tapping into before. So I have I don't want to say a bad relationship with nature, but I didn't really take the time to explore it properly. But since I was always locked away in a room most of the times, nature wasn't always a thing that I went out to explore. My family has a lot of generational history with nature. My mom and my stepdad, they worked in the ag business when they were young kids. So it's one of those things where I didn't have to, but I definitely recognize how it wasn't an area that was appreciated as much, because of the traumas that it had generationally with us. With Starr King, giving me space to explore this and, achieve different areas, I don't feel I would have found this on my own. But one of the things was to delve into nature. You could go for a walk In ministry, I understood that I was probably most likely going to be traveling for ministry. I was not going to, at the beginning I was going to be traveling. And so having a healthy and good relationship with nature was something I could do anywhere. Even if I go to a place where I don't know anybody, I'm going to be the interim minister there for a while, what have you. I have a spiritual practice I already know I can do. What I would say to others who are interested in going to ministry and Starr King's on their radar is that they should really explore the program that they offer. I don't think anyone's ever prepared to become a minister right off the bat. Throughout the whole journey at Starr King, I have most definitely had my moments where, I doubted myself. You question whether, that imposter syndrome rears its head and you're like, is this really for me? You think, what am I going to do in the world? What am I going to accomplish? And when I was doubting myself with that, I was doing it because I was trying to think of those big things you're going to change in the world. What are those big things you're going to do? What are those big, what kind of resolutions are you going to get done? What huge, ginormous thing are you going to do that's really going to make the world a better place? And I finally figured out I don't need to worry about that. If it happens, it happens. What I need to worry about is what little things am I going to do to change the world? What small, minute little things can I do? My name is Isaac Castro, and I'm a fourth-year student at Starr King School for the Ministry.